psychologically, emotionally, all aspects of our existence are disrupted by this crisis that we are faced right now. And as people of God, we are, the more we are challenged to deepen our faith and asking the Lord to listen to our prayers. To look at the gospel that we have for today, which is very appropriate also for the situation we are faced right now in the world. So this lengthy passage that we have in the Gospel of John, the man born blind, it is oozing with drama, you know, both literary and literal. So of course in a drama, you know, we have the protagonist, isn't it? And of course, the protagonist is the man born blind, and a group of antagonists. So that's what you have, you know, in the drama: protagonist and antagonist, and represented by, you know, the Pharisees. So in any short story, of course, we have the beginning action. So you heard the beginning action of the story, and we have the rising action of the story. We have the climax, and of course the denouement, or the outcome of a complex sequence of events, as you heard in the story, definitely, and then followed by some kind of a resolution. You know, that's how the short story goes. You know. And so the resolution actually happens to everyone in the story except for the stiff and stuff, or those self-righteous Pharisees, who ended up as losers, and they were outsmarted by the blind man who they saw look down. We have a lot of lessons to be learned, you know, from this drama, from this beautiful story of Jesus healing this blind man. And we can take this story in the Gospel of John, section by section, you know, so that what is the Lord telling us about this, and especially applying the reflections and deepening our understanding of these events, you know, in the light of what we are experiencing right now in the world. Well, of course, you know, the miracles of Christ, they are signs of the glory of God. And the miracles of God are definitely the way wherein we experience the compassion of Jesus Christ himself. So in the story, the disciples asked the Lord, "Rabbi, who sinned, this man or his parents, that he was born blind?" And Jesus said, it's not the sin of the parents, because the Jews had that understanding that if you were born with sickness, definitely somebody in your family way back then would have sinned, and you inherited that sin, and now you are suffering because of that sin. You know, we still have that kind of mentality nowadays. You know. And so Jesus said, neither he nor his parents sinned. It is so that the works of God can be made visible through him. So that through situations like that, and through the miracles of God, we experience God's compassion and mercy. And that's what we are supposed to see. You know, that's what we are supposed to see. And so, in every situation of pain and suffering and loss or sickness, whatever it is, especially what we are facing right now in the world, there are opportunities for us and for God to display his power. We are seeing this right now. God displaying His splendor and glory. How? If we open our eyes, we see people helping each other. We see people in solidarity. We see people reaching out. You know, I was just watching, I opened my Facebook and I saw this old couple in the Philippines. They are preparing food for the doctors and nurses in the working in the hospitals, you know, and you know, distributing this package of food, you know. That's that's God at work. They are providing food for those who are in the front lines. And we see a lot of this happening in the world today, you know. um, the Iglesia ni Cristo were one of the biggest churches in the Philippines. They gave cash to the city government of Quezon City to help the city government to buy food and medicines and etc. etc. You know, for those who are being affected. You know, that kind of solidarity and action of compassion, you know, whatever religion, whether you are a Catholic, whether you're a Protestant, whether Iglesia ni Cristo, whether you're Muslim or Protestant, it doesn't matter. This whole situation is bringing out the best in people, but not, of course, not for everyone, you know. But that's what we see, you know. It brings out the strength and the endurance and the nobility which are in the heart of people. And this situation is bringing it out, you know. Not just in terms of doing concretely that kind of reaching out to others as a display that God is present in them, working in and through them, but that also, you know, we are able to say that we are interdependent, you know. We are dependent on one another. We are all connected. As Pope Francis would say the other day, this is we are one humanity, and that's true. You know, we are one. We are one, and we are seeing it, and it's a display of God's power and mercy for us. Hopefully people will be able to see it, you know, and respond with gratitude to the Lord. Lord, thank you. Despite the fact that that's something that we welcome, you know, something that is causing us a lot of suffering and pain, but it is through us that God is working. And God is displaying His love. That God is saying, I am with you. And I'm just thinking, you know, I was just thinking about this. Well, we have time to. I think we have time. Are you in a hurry to have lunch?
Oh, no, no.
No. I was just thinking, you know, it happened during this time of Lent, 40 days. And I'm just thinking, I don't know, you know, it is, God is His own calendar. I'm not in control of the calendar of God when this will end, because there's no sight. There's no end in sight. You know, when will this end? But I was just reflecting and saying, telling myself, you know, Lord, it happened during this time of Lent, 40 days, 40 days of Lent. It could be within. It could be this virus will be within 40 days. We will suffer, just like the suffering of Jesus Christ. 40 days in the desert, the people of God. 40 days Jesus was, you know, in the desert fasting. 40 days of suffering. And then we have the Triduum. We have the Good Friday. We have the Holy Thursday, the Good Friday, and of course the resurrection. So I was telling myself, most likely, I hope and I believe, within 40 days, and then we will experience the end of this crisis, and we will experience the power of the Lord's resurrection, and it will end.
That's great.
Isn't that amazing, you know? When we count, whether it's 40 days, when did it started, you know? And then we count, and then 40 days. This is our desert experience with God, with Jesus, our desert experience. And now we have the tridium, and then looking forward to the glory of the resurrection. And when we experience the resurrection of Christ in April, and oh, that would be amazing, I think. It's incredible.
That would be wonderful.
Isn't it? Hopefully, that's what I'm just thinking, you know. So we are into this desert experience. But within this experience of 40 days, we are displaying the power of God at work in the lives of so many people, you know, being so compassionate and kind and reaching out and cooperating with the government, with you know, what to do, you know. But some of course are makulit, you know, we pasaway, we call it pasaway, you know, hard-headed, they don't cooperate, you know. Just like those young, I mean, I saw it's public, you know, in New York, you know, those young people is still partying. Oh, I don't want to, it's spring break and I want to enjoy my spring break, etc. I don't, my gosh, you know. Even the governor was calling them to, this is not the time, okay? This is the time to cooperate. This is the time to be together on this. Well, anyway, so that's the second thing that we can learn. Thirdly, the Lord tells us, and He said, we have to do the works of the one who sent me while it is day. Night is coming when no one can work. You know, it's true because, you know, we tend to procrastinate. We try to postpone the good things that we can do. And I think, you know, and experience it myself, you know, how I wish I could have done that, you know, that I did not postpone that the good thing that I had, that I should be doing, you know, and regret it afterwards. When we say, oh, it's too late to do something now, it's too late. And so the Lord said, no, do it now. Because I am the light of the world. Do not postpone. Today is the day of salvation, as the Bible would say, and even St. Paul would say, today is the day of salvation. Don't postpone it. Don't postpone. And it's the same thing. We have to do the work that God wants us to do, you know, just like our Lord Himself. And lastly, I think I can talk and talk and talk. But we can share together, you know, what we can learn from this gospel. I'm just right, you know, there almost in the beginning of the gospel, you know. Of course, we are to be conscious of our own blindness. That's why in the Mass we ask the Lord to forgive us from those sin of omission and commission, you know. We ask the Lord for it because there are things that, because of the tendency to procrastinate, we don't do good things that we are supposed to do, or perhaps our priorities are not set right, you know. Yeah, so we ask the Lord for forgiveness, but we are conscious of our own blindness, and when we are like the blind man, and then we long to see, and we long to know more. And during this time, we can learn a lot. God can open our eyes and we can learn a lot because we are confined, you know. We can read more, we can pray more, we can open our whole being to God's revealing of Himself, you know, isn't it? There's so much time. And not to waste the time that we have at hand to open our eyes and our whole being. Lord, what do you want me to see? I want to see more like that blind man and be a disciple of Christ and continue to be a disciple of the Lord, you know. And I'm pretty sure the Lord will be happy to reveal Himself more and more to us as a loving Savior, as the one who is with us every day, because His name is Emmanuel, God with us. So we thank the Lord for giving us this gospel reading for this Laudatory Sunday, a Sunday that we are supposed to be rejoicing, and be filled with hope, because we are looking forward for the coming celebration of Easter. So this is not the time to give in to despair and panic, but it's a time, as I said in the beginning, to deepen our faith and to trust, continue to trust in God's loving mercy, because the Lord is with us. The Lord will always continue working in and through us, so that our eyes may all be open to see more the wonder, the splendor of God working in today's world.